I hope the lighting is okay because the sun is going down, the usual. Alright, so I asked you guys on Snapchat like what stories you wanted to hear, and I didn't know that so many people were interested about my high school life. My high school life was really interesting, but it was also a very sad one. So I really don't want to discourage anybody about like school in general, but I feel like I don't even have to do much because school sucks even worse than when I was in there. So I'm like, I don't mind talking about this now because I'm not discouraging anybody, because a lot of people either enjoy it or they hate it. But I feel like almost everybody can't wait for it to be over. So what does that say about it, honestly? So this has to be like my very first like mutual relationships. All the other ones that I had before, I was fucking delusional and they were not interested in me at all. And I tried to make them be. I mean, I really can't think of anybody else that I liked mutually. No, it was either they really liked me or I really liked them. I will make an entire high school story. I know I keep saying that, but it's really emotional and it's like, you know, I really want to sit through that and do that, but I do. I feel like it's worth it. I feel like I could really help people, and I definitely want to do it before the school year starts. It's almost July. School will be starting back in August. Time flies, so I need to get on that. Okay, so when I was 14 going on 15, I was in high school, and I remember this was freshman year, and freshman year was like, it was a really fun, interesting year. I was finding out a lot about myself. Now, I had moved to like this new neighborhood. It was pretty much the hood, but the hood was really close to downtown. I went to Central High School in Omaha, Nebraska, and Central High School was pretty much downtown. You could almost walk to school, but I never did that. But no, I did walk home a couple times, but who puts a high school in the middle of downtown? You know what I mean? And it was a big high school on this tall hill, like, but you know, Omaha's downtown wasn't really all that interesting, but whatever, I'm getting off subject. So yeah, I ended up meeting this guy at a house party. Now, I think it was like before school started, or it was like the first week of school, I went to a house party. So this one particular day, my brother had a classmate and she was throwing a party. Now this was like a going back to school party, like this was after the summer, but I think it was more into the fall. I really can't remember, but I remember school was just starting and I barely knew anyone. So at the house party, it was my brother's classmate who was a girl, and then she had her cousins there and stuff, and cousins' friends. It was more like everybody knew each other, and I just kind of walked in, and they had like one or two people who went to my school, so I didn't really know too many people there. Guys, basement parties are exactly what they look like in the movies. Grimy, dirty, sweaty, people don't know where they are, who am I? They're just like that. But back then, I didn't really know how dirty and nasty they were. You know, it's because like sometimes the basements would be leaking. They would have the washer and dryer down there, like washing clothes while we were partying. Sometimes it would just be, it was always hot and just murky, and I just couldn't wait to get home and take a shower. It was just dirty and grimy. And then there was barely any light. Like you may have like one light that's hanging, that's dangling, but you want to be in the dark anyway because you're dancing and, you know, whatever. It's like a club. And sometimes there would be a fee, like sometimes it would be free, or it would be like $1 to $2, and most of the time none of the basements were finished. Like I think I went to one basement party out of like the 20 that I went to, and the basement was actually finished. Now I wanted to take my best friend with me, but she couldn't. Her parents were so strict, but I love this girl. Like she was my best friend. Like I hated going anywhere without her. Like I just hated it. But yeah, her parents didn't really let her go anywhere, so I was off on my own with my brother on a lot of the adventures that I wanted, and I hated it because I saw so many girls with their best friends going to house parties, and they were just enjoying life and they were just having so much fun, and it just sucked because I couldn't be, you know, have her hanging out with me or whatever. My mom was very lenient. Even though she was older than a lot of the kids in school's parents, she was very lenient. Like, it's ridiculous. But because I had so much lenience, I wasn't sneaking out and doing crazy stuff. A lot of the kids that were being like held down, they ended up just doing crazy shit by sophomore year, just wilding out. So anyway, we go to this house party, and I thought I looked cute. You know, I had on a tight little shirt, tight jeans. Guys, I was like 5'7" and like 125 pounds or whatever, so I was really fine. I had a big butt. Like, my butt was big. It was just out. Like, this was me, a stick, and then this is my butt. Stick, butt, stick, butt. Anyway, we go over there. There's a lot of people there. It was good. It was a good party. Like, sometimes you go to a basement party and there's like nobody there, and it's really awkward, and that sucks. This one had a good amount of people. So I get in there, you know, I'm sitting down. I'm a wallflower, so I was either sitting or I was just like standing in the corner, or I was like seeing classmates that I had just met and everything. And this was the beginning of the year, like either it was the first week of school or it was like a few days before school started. But I think it was at least like, maybe we were a few weeks into school. I'm not really sure. I don't want to say that, but it was like the beginning. I go there and I sit down immediately because I was a wallflower and I was shy and I didn't really know how to do the common dances. Like back then, it was like Sierra's Ride had just came out, and then the Franchise Boys had that Lean With It, Rock With It. It was like that type of music, Laffy Taffy, that was out pretty much back when I was in high school. So yeah, that was on. I just didn't really know the dances. And so one boy comes up to me, I'm not really interested. Another boy comes up to me, I'm not really interested. And then everybody's looking at me and I'm really, really shy. One guy decides to come up to me. His name is Kenny, and that's who I ended up dating, becoming my very first boyfriend. And we ended up talking and stuff, and you know, I just really, really liked him. He was clean, like clean. He had just gotten, he would get like a new haircut every single week. He would get like, you know, he just had a great smile. He was just when he got close to me, he smelled nice. Like I'm a sucker for good bone structure and cleanliness. Like that's like my thing with guys. I love it. Like some guys, they smell okay from afar, but then when they get close, you're like, oh, should I just die right now? And this guy, he was perfect. So we kept talking. We talked through the whole night, and then he was trying to get me to dance, and he was the only person that could actually get me up and dance. Like everybody else kept trying, and I was not having it. He got me up, and I started dancing, and we just had a good time. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, by the end of the night, we ended up exchanging numbers, and then the guys were kind of like taking turns. Like I feel like once one person thinks it's comfortable to talk to a girl, like, you know, women are different. Like if we see too many guys, maybe too many girls on one guy, we're like, ugh. But guys see that as competition. Because one guy had already came up to me and got my number, they literally pushed him out of the way, and they were getting my number, and they were like taking turns trying to talk to me. And then they were like, okay, you talked to her too long. That's literally what they said. And I was getting all the attention, and like the other girls at the party, they were being kind of like mean to me. They didn't want to hang out, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just hang out with these guys while I wait for my brother to be done doing whatever he's doing. Then we leave the party, and I think he texted me that night. I left at like midnight or something like that. My mom was pretty lenient with us. She was a very chill mom. My mom was much older than like, she was like the age of a lot of the people who I went to high school with's moms. Like, you know, maybe like grandmas, you know what I mean? Their moms. But she was really, really cool. Like in the neighborhood, she was pretty respected and stuff. And she was lenient with me. I think that's why I didn't really do much until I got out of high school. Like a lot of kids were having to sneak out, fake stuff. They ended up like just having all kinds of like issues once they left. No, while they were in high school. But because my mom gave us so much freedom, I had nothing to hide. Like my mom could go in my room and clean it. I was never worried about nothing, and we were never like in trouble, and she would always just kind of let us do our own thing. But other kids, they were sneaking out, they were just doing all kinds of like really bad stuff, and I didn't feel the need to do that because I wasn't being like restricted or restrained. So now in hindsight, I understand why a lot of the kids were like wilding out, and they felt like they needed to do certain things because they were being, you know, held hostage almost. Party ended, me and him, we talked, and then I went upstairs of the house, and we were all just hanging out, and we were adding each other on MySpace. Guys, MySpace was so big back then. Facebook was lame. I still like MySpace though, the old one, not the new one. I hate the new layout. It's so whack. It's horrible. We ended up adding each other upstairs, and we were just hanging out, listening to Sierra multiple times, and listening on the YouTube or whatever. So I go back home, and he texts me when I got back home, and I was so excited to text him. We both had to go to bed because we had like, I think we had school the next day, or it was just getting late and we were young. Then after texting every day, we never ever talked on the phone the entire relationship. He was like, hey, we should go on a date, and I was so excited. It was my very first date. So, you know, I get dressed, I have my cute jacket on, and I just put on, you know, a little outfit. He lived very far from me. Even though his school wasn't far from me, he lived far. Like, way, like, West Omaha. Maybe South. I don't know, but he lived far. I ended up driving down to where he was. It was very far, and my mom was like, you know what, Chinyere, next time, he needs to come to your side. You don't ever drive down there for a date, you know? So I said, okay, and I never did that again. He always came back to my side. But this time, since we were already on the way, my mom, we didn't have no gas money, honestly, to even go on these dates, so that really made sense. We get to the theater, and you know, I'm just really shy. I hadn't spoke to him on the phone. He wasn't really saying anything to make me feel comfortable. We go there, we go see the movie, and we leave. And I see his dad, and I hug him, and I was very awkward and weird, and I hated that he even brought it up. He was like, "You hugged my dad," and he liked it. I know he was being funny, but yeah. So we talked more and more. Weeks went by, and then he's like, "Let's go on another date." So I said, "Okay, sure." And it was the movies again. So we ended up going to the movies, and it was fun. It was, you know, the usual. And I think either this date or the next day, but I don't know if we went to the movies again. We had saw like Stump the Yard, I remember in particular, and that's when I had my first kiss. And it was just the weirdest kiss, guys. Like, he said that I kind of missed his mouth, and I was like, oh great. So I kind of missed it, and it was just, I wasn't all that experienced in kissing, so, and I didn't really want to, but I kind of wanted to because I really thought he was cute and I wanted to get it out of the way. I had kissed like when I was like 6 or 7 years old. I had kissed somebody, but I don't even count that. So yeah, that's why I'm counting this one as my first kiss. We went on another date to like, it was like a family fun type of center. It was like, I don't know, but they had like a lot of game rooms in there, laser tag, food, you could redeem your tickets. We went to one of those type of places, and he brought his little sister, and we had so much fun that day. Like, me and his little sister, we were having so much fun. We were chasing him, he was chasing us, but he was just one of those guys who hated to get ugly. He was like a pretty boy, so he didn't really like to run like that. He didn't really like to mess up his he didn't like to do anything, and it was like, ugh, you know, he wasn't really no fun to me. So it was like, okay. So we went on one more date. We dated for like 5 months, and we would only go on a date like once a month, maybe. We went to the roller rink. At this point, I had already met his mom because she picked me up. They just started picking me up for our dates because my mom was like, I'm not driving no more because he needs to pick you up. So I was like, okay. And I hated to ask him. I hated asking for anything back then. So it was like, okay, you know, we got to compromise on something. I can't keep going this far. It was like a 30-minute ride to him. One day, you know, his mom picks me up, and then she takes us to the movies, and then this day his stepdad picked us up, and I remember vividly he was a white guy, and I was like, who is this white guy? And he didn't tell me he was white, or maybe he did, I don't remember, but it was maybe like later. He was like, oh yeah, he's white, and it's like, we know. He comes in, I go downstairs, my brother would always slip me like a 20, and then I would give it right back to him after the date because I didn't pay, but I just wanted to make sure, you know, I was okay for it. We go to the roller rink, and we're skating, and it's just, we're having so much fun. Like, we're pretty much the only couple that's there. There's his stepdad who can skate really good, and then he skates pretty good, and I cannot skate that good at all. And then he had maybe like 3 other people there. It was a big rink. It was great. Anyway, we're skating, and we're skating a lot, and then we sit down, and he's like, so what's going on with your arm? And I said, oh, like, this is how I was born. It happened during my birthing process. And I explained to him what happened, and I will tell you guys the story later on, but not right now. I'm just letting you know that this is something, I mean, I've talked about it in my blog, whatever, but yeah, I'll do a full story on it. I'm not uncomfortable to talk about it or anything. But he was okay with it, so I thought. I kind of knew he wasn't, but he just played it off so well. He was like, oh, okay, that's cool, that's cool. So we ended up talking a little bit more, and then it was time to go home. It was getting late. He dropped me home, and he didn't text me back that night. And when that happened, I was like, huh, okay. Needless to say, I knew early on what that means. You know, what the silence means, what him, you know, not really saying anything. I knew that that was something to expect later on in life, early on in life. So the next day we kind of just was like yes, no. He wasn't really asking me anything, and it was just kind of trickling down. And finally he says, you know, we need to talk. And he comes up with all these excuses. He's like, you know, you live really far, we go to different schools, we really don't have that much in common. And guys, we did go to different schools. He went to our rival school, North. I went to Central High School, and North wasn't even really like a rival because their team really wasn't that good, like, honestly, and I wasn't even into sports, and I knew that, but whatever. So he was like a rival school, and North was very close. Like, he could have at any time like came to hang out with me after school. He would be over at his cousin's house, who lived around the corner from me, at the house party. He was over there sometimes. He could have made like more of an effort to see me and stuff, and yeah, he just didn't really try. And I would be thinking, oh, we're gonna go to lunch or dinner or something like that. You know, I know we're kids, but so it's like different, but we could have made time for each other more. And so, you know, he was like, I don't even really get to see you that much. And I was like, well, that's up to you. Like, I've tried to see you and you didn't really do much. You know, I told him. But I just knew it was over and I wasn't in love with him, so I wasn't going to force it. And he didn't want to be honest with me because he didn't want to hurt my feelings. But ignoring me and not really saying anything, you know, that was kind of like, eh. But the good thing is that I was already talking to somebody else. That was just my personality. I always had like a new guy I was talking to, so it was kind of like, okay, we're cool, you know, this just makes more room for somebody else. So that ended, and then over the summer we ended up speaking again because I don't know what happened. I don't remember what happened, but he knew I was hanging out with his cousin all the time. With his best friend. His best friend, he knew I was hanging out with him. So he texted me, and then for the first time ever, this was like 6 months later, it was over. It was summertime now, school was over with. Me and him, I talked at the beginning of school for like 4 or 5 months maybe, and we talked on the phone for like 45 minutes to an hour, and it was just great. Like, it was great. And you know, we were talking about maybe like possibly getting back together and stuff, and I mean, he still wouldn't say what it was. And I kind of knew what it was, and it was weird because like I had met another girl from school and she was texting him. They were just friends, and I was so jealous. I was like, you know, he can text you, but he does not text me, and if I do text him, it's like one word and I don't hear from him, and he'd just say like laugh out loud. So that was really hurtful, like the aftermath of things more than anything, and I just didn't really want anything to do with him after that. So one day my brother was in school, and he was friends with Kenneth's best friend. His name was Kenny, I think I said that earlier. But yeah, he was best friends, and she was a girl. And she said that he told her that he broke up because of my arm. She told my brother that. He said that something was like wrong with my arm or whatever. So my brother told me, and I could take it. It was like, I just said okay. I really honestly never really thought about it. Like, even like later on, it didn't hurt me or anything like that. It's because I knew it. He just didn't say anything, and it was okay. Like, I knew that like later on in life somebody was gonna love me with it. Like, whether or not, it would more depend on like my attitude than anything. Especially when you have something like that. Like, you can't really like depend on looks or anything like that. Like, you need to have a certain type of personality and stuff, and just good, you know, good morals or something. I don't know, something like that. You guys know where I'm getting at, you know. Good characteristics that people favor. So yeah, that was it. That was my first boyfriend. Very nothing memorable. I wish that there was more memorable stuff about him, but it just wasn't. We texted the whole relationship until we had that one phone conversation, which was great. We never really saw each other. We didn't really make an effort for each other to see each other. We were both like very naive and very new to the relationship. You know, he added me on Facebook like years ago and stuff, and he has no kids, nothing. You know, we're just chilling and stuff. And I actually ended up like talking to his cousin like in a relationship type of way, and I knew it was his cousin, and I didn't say anything, and his cousin didn't know. Anyway, I ended that, and I was talking to his cousin while I had the sugar daddy. Anyway, guys, it was just a hot mess. His cousin's married now, and I don't communicate at all with him, and I don't communicate with him either, even though we've been friends online or whatever. So yeah, that was my very first boyfriend story time. If you guys learned anything, I feel like in hindsight I could just tell him like, hey, I have something, blah blah. I could just be like that, you know. And but coming forward, I started doing that, but then I just stopped doing that because I just kept forgetting. Oh yeah, you need to tell people. Like, I just kept forgetting simply because I just don't really care that much about it and on other people, so I just I didn't make it a priority for myself, but I should. And this story reminds me I need to start doing that whenever I start dating people. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.